It is nice, but my sombrero is too big. If you wonder why I shiver, I fell 3 times in the river, 'cause the hat I got for Christmas is too big. But ring the bells and beat the drum. Ring the bells and beat the drum. I'll ring the bells to be polite. But if I see that Santa Claus, I'm gonna start a fight. See, the hat I got for Christmas is too big. It is nice, but my sombrero is too big. Can't tell one thing from another. I got married to my brother, 'cause the hat I got for Christmas is too big. But ring the bells and beat the drum. Ring the bells and beat the drum. I'll ring the bells, but I feel sick, 'cause Mr. Santa Claus, you played on me your dirty trick. See, Senor Santa Claus, the hat I got for Christmas is too big. It is nice, but my sombrero is too big. When I walked on Frederick Street, you can only see my teeth, 'cause the hat I got for Christmas is too big. But ring the bells and beat the drum. Ring the bells and beat the drum. I'll ring the bells and say ole, 'cause Mr. Senior Santa Claus, you spoil my holiday. Hey, Senior Santa Claus, I must insist that you give me something a little smaller. See? My goodness! Now the hat I got for Christmas is too small.
It's too small.
It is nice, but my sombrero is too small.
It's too small.
When the sun shines on my head, it makes my bald head red, 'cause the hat I got for Christmas is too small.
It's too small.
But ring the bells and beat the drum. Ring the bells and beat the drum. I'll ring the bells and say ole, and say ole, and say ole. Hey, Mr. Senior Santa Claus, I'll take it anyway. So ring the bells and beat the drum. Ring the bells and beat the drum. I'll ring the bells and say ole. Yes, Mr. Senior Santa Claus, I thank you anyway.
Pablo was drumming like a madman. Then they passed the tequila and chasing one with another. There was this lady who stuttered, and she was trying to sing. Just sing, we like to hear you sing this day. Estamos en diciembre, noche la vida. They answer with a chorus. La 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 la. They say my words are different, but we like the song. So come on, señorita, mucho all night long. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web. Pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is the Thursday night edition of the Corridor Transformation, and of course, you know, it is the penultimate before the time for festivities. But not because I'm playing parang, it means that I've started early. No, it merely indicates that in Trinidad and Tobago, that is how we celebrate Christmas, and so the music must be in tandem with, of course, that what I consider to be calypso experience. Sunshine, sand and sea. And I can tell you, has always been beautiful since my growing up, and I expect it to be so on this occasion as well. But of course, we have an existential threat to all of that, and that is, of course, the Rowley administration that must be gotten rid of. Have a wonderful one. We have a jam-packed program. We have some burning and major issues only yesterday from the Privy Council. Yes, from the Privy Council. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Mucho all night long. La 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 la. La 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 la. No matter what they say, we love this thing your way.
Another loss for PM Rowley. Finance Minister Colm Imbert suffered defeat at the Privy Council on Thursday morning in an appeal he brought related to an understatement of between $2.6 billion and $3.379 billion in the Auditor General's report on the country's 2023 public financial records. A panel of 5 law lords dismissed Imbert's appeal, in which he was seeking to prevent Auditor General Jaiwani Ramdas from filing a claim for judicial review against his decision to set up an investigative team.
Yes, people, of course, another defeat for the PNM administration, and of course, when evil exists, subsists, is stalking a people, then evil, good always comes and overrides and overwhelms and conquers. And I'm saying so because we just came out of what? Of the Wali. The ever-conquering feature of light over darkness, and therefore good over evil. Nothing different. But let us go back as to where this victory came from. Its genesis. What is the genesis? The Auditor General of Trinidad and Tobago was viciously attacked by this fellow called Imbert, who could not find or account for over $3 billion. Yes, $3 billion. Yes, people. $3 billion. Yes. And the people, yes, 100,000 million. That is what we are talking about. And Imbert through his ministry could not have accounted for 3 billion of that sum that I just extrapolated. And so
The government will immediately apply for leave.
he believed that
The
somehow
appeals decision after
that the Auditor General must be subjected to his whim and fancy, and in spite of that, she must, even though by law she's obligated by a particular time to submit her report to the Parliament. And she did so minus the verification of $3 billion. Mind you, that was just the tip of the iceberg, because there was another billion in expenditure that she could not relate to a paper trail, for whatever better term. And so the standoff began. And then, of course, we learned that while there was some degree of compromise, she decided, well, she will, of course, submit the report late. In itself is an infringement, but to do so was justifiable in that she would have given them time in Bert's ministry, the Ministry of Finance, to rectify the situation. Guess what? It was rectified, but they couldn't find 2 billion of the 3 billion originally that they couldn't account for. So she submitted. But most upset. I don't know what he's thinking, but I know how they think. Everything that goes against them, particularly when people stand up firm on principle. On principle. And that principle, as far as they're concerned, jeopardizes their integrity and the sanity of government operations for which they are responsible. The Auditor General has nothing to do with that. She has her work to do. And if after you submitted your documentation, and it turns out that there are $2 billion ultimately still missing, then she has to stand firm. That is how it is. You cannot ask her to throw a blind eye to that and pretend that it was in fact certified, and then of course give the government an opportunity without the public's gaze accept $2 billion that couldn't be accounted for, and of course $1 billion with respect, of course, that is in revenue, and respect, of course, in expenditure, you can't account for $1 billion. No. So let us go to the genesis of this situation that ended up in court, because she took them to court, saying that she took them to court. I'll tell you why. Because Imber decided now, somehow, in their usual fashion, want to deflect attention away from themselves, and as Rowley would have done, as he did with, of course, the FUL, in his attempt to try to get at a former commissioner of police and now, of course, political leader of NTA. I talk about Gary Griffith. Yes, they put a committee, an investigative committee together, saying that the cabinet did it and nobody must question it. So Imber tried that. He put a committee together to find out where the money gone. How come that huge, massive discrepancy? You can't even call that a discrepancy. First, the canyon of lack of accountability is so vivid and conspicuous, pellucid, and irretrievably a consequence of incompetence at minimum, but at maximum, corruption and nepotism. Yes, corruption. You cannot be so damn callous to misplace. You know what it is to misplace $3 billion? Well, let me tell you, let me give you a graphic exemplification of how it would have been impossible and how stupid it would be to tell people that you misplace $3 billion or $2 billion, as is the case now. Yeah. That is like you building the tallest and biggest house on your street. And that becomes a landmark. It's your house. And suddenly, you don't know where it is. You're driving up and down and you miss it. Because it's impossible for it to disappear. It's impossible for you not to notice it. Because everybody else would notice it. And everybody else would say, but that huge thing, how the hell you could miss that? But you missing it. You can't find it at all. I think that is as graphic as one can go. Or you could also say that is a scenario where the night has come and it's supposed to be full moon and you can't see the full moon at all. You miss it. It's gone. It disappeared. But that to me is a perfect exemplification or analogy as to the $3 billion that is impossible for any accountant in anywhere, whether government, out of government, to miss $3 billion and you submit that for auditing. A little wicked. But let's go to where it started. It started where the Auditor General was to be subjected to an investigation initiated by IMSBERT to find out where that money went. Why it was not, of course, included. But let's go straight to the line. In the meantime. As soon as I get into the crux of the matter, but that's all right. We will get back there. We are skillful enough. President, good night. Welcome.
Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox
Good night
Smith.
to you, yes.
I listening to you. So you talk and you talk and you talk. Everybody know the judgment the Privy Council give. And what? I said I talk again, UNC supporters and the Auditor General when the case, so they will talk. And look at how they was thieving the money and they catch up with them. And what? Who had to pay? Not we the taxpayers? So that is what we want, to show off every time that Ramla and they win case, we end up reaching in Privy Council, judgment come down, that they win. That is what we want all the time? Hee hee ha ha. Look at what? Hee hee ha ha. I said that shit and talk whole time by UNC supporters. That making sense? We want back our money. That is what we want. We want them sanctioned. We want the UNC to do the work, at least I want them to do the work and let them pay us back. Seize the assets. Not we every time have to be paying back. Taxpayers have to be paying back. And I giggle and I skin. Hee hee, we win. Back on our story. I said that shit over and over. That making sense? And then they say they're doing something. That is what I'm doing. I listened to an interview with former energy minister talking about the situation with Venezuela, the US, and the dragon gas, what will come out of it. And here what he's saying, that when Trump go, he wouldn't forget, he will remember what take place with so many different things concerning the Venezuelan regime, and he will look into it. Hold your tail. I get fed up all you. Hold your tail. You're talking foolish talk. Do all your work. It have an embassy here. The embassy is not only for renewing our passports for American citizens and to be given visa to Trinidadians. Our embassy is for a lot more. Find all yourself in there. Wade Mark does be talking, oh, he will make reports and he go in there. I fed up all your talking. Right? It have a thing called strategy. Give them tempo. Look at how much tempo they give the woman and she stand up. It's tempo them people coming with. Look what they're going to do again. Have another voting to put back Hines there. I tell all of that. Some kind of money going and pass. And hungry mouth people will take it. They have to tell them, vote so, vote so. And next thing you know, Hines right back inside of the I said that shit over and over. Look here now, man. That's why I just have to be talking, so you know, because I fed up. People talking thing and telling all you way in advance. As they say, who have influential voices? It have influential voices and they wouldn't use it. They only looking to stand on people and talk a lot of shit and say that irrelevant. It's irrelevant. No, it's relevant. They want to know what next. You hear? But what next is we backside ain't getting no gas, nothing 100 years. Venezuela could end up like Cuba with sanction and embargo for 60 years. The 60 years, them Cuban. He don't care nothing about we. I'm not speaking about Rowley, I'm speaking about Nicholas. Them know how to live and evade sanctions. And right now they're extorting this country billions of dollars. You hear? I want to ask you something, Mr. Lennox, but I don't know if I make a mistake. I feel I made a mistake. This money we have to be paying Venezuela with the extorting me, right? Is every month or every year?
Every year. $1 million annually until the project is fully monetized or operationalized.
Yes.
And then, of course, there's a different arrangement with respect to who should get what.
Yes, because I heard somebody say every month. Two people I heard say every month, and I was wondering if I hear wrong.
No.
But anytime I make mistake, I just like people to correct me. I don't like people to just hear say something, you understand? And they just leave it so.
I hear you.
Right? We have to work together. So this thing going too far. These fellas and them taking up with money and sharing it and helping these fellas that are hungry mouth CARICOM citizens when doing countries when doing nothing to further themselves in the country. They only loafing out this place. Then they come now and they with Venezuela, and every time is a voting in the OAS, they're sizing up for this man because he feeding his allies. The people ain't getting nothing and they have them in bondage. Where we not getting US to make a little travel, tell all this stuff, all living in communism. This is communist. We living in bondage. The place mashing up. I don't know if I have to keep saying it. I don't know if this woman, Miss Kamala Prasad, I love this man, you know. She protecting them, you know. I go on.
I hear you, my friend. But of course, your anger is well placed, whether or not, of course, it is nestled in a solid and irrefutable and should I say foolproof argument is a different story. Because you see, with respect to Hines, well, everybody knew that the Balizé house will, of course, manipulate the situation in order to orchestrate the reinstatement, if you want to call that, or at least having a better outcome as far as Lavatil West is concerned. We anticipated that and we know that. But of course, With respect to the Auditor General and the present situation, as far as the outcome and the decision of the Privy Council, I think that is something we have to be very analytical about, and I'm going to, of course, do exactly that after this call. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor. Going once, going twice. Welcome to the corridor. Let's go again. It appears that we had a cutoff there. Let's see if we're going to start all over again. I'm not going to move further until I get control of this call. President, good night. Yes. Yes, sorry about that, caller. I see that the call is being... Yes, indeed. Yes, let me just make this... Let me take this... Oh boy, oh boy. All right, let's go again. Right, let me go now. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor. Oh boy, where is... boy, I have two calls and I get it confused now. All right, okay. I'll take the one on the hand phone, and the one on the system. I'm not getting audio. President, go ahead, Miss Madras. All right. Let's start this thing all over again, because I'm seeing, of course, a call from New York. Wow, quite a lot of calls for it. Well, all right, let me get this one. Oh boy, all right. Let me take this one and see what's up here. Let me take up this one from New York because I'm seeing it on the system, but I'm not getting any audio. President, good night, welcome. So you can start here. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was trying to get something last night, man.
All right, go ahead. Speak a little louder and maybe come a little closer to your system.
Yeah, after I was trying to get something last night. Yeah, but I'm concerned with Auditor General, right? The Auditor General. She was appointed by PNM President here recently, not so?
Miss Madras, you could hold on. Are you hearing me?
Sure. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, right. Hold on. I have someone on my hands. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah. The Auditor General was appointed recently, not so?
She was appointed, yes, recently. She replaced, of course, someone that...
Yeah, by the PNM President.
Yes,
by the PNM President.
Yeah, by the PNM President, yes.
So,
let me put it that way.
Right, so imagine she took up these discrepancies as she going, right? Could you imagine what was taking place prior? Who was there?
I don't even want to go there because what we have before us right now is huge. It's massive. It's too big. They're talking about
it. But prior to her, before, what was taking place, right?
Yeah, well, you just have to imagine. I don't think you can imagine because, I mean, it is almost ineffable, inexplicable that your imagination can take you anywhere. So let's deal with what is before us, and then, of course, we will move forward. But you have to be angry, and you know your speculation.
No, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Sure, that's forever. Maybe tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. President, good night, Miss Madras. President, good night. Sorry about that. Yes, go ahead.
No problems, Lennox. Thank you so much for taking my call.
No problem.
Anyway, I wanted... A lot is happening right now in Trinidad, especially with the election with Trump. And I knew Trump was going to win. And Trump won. A lot of people are calling and talking about statistics and all that stuff. But Trump won on the platform of saying things that people always think about but could never say it publicly. And he was not ashamed to call Kamala Harris stupid. He's not embarrassed to insult people. And he calls it as he sees it, because when you have that much money and you're rich, you really do have a lot of power. And I do believe that heavy sanctions are going to come back to Cuba and to parts of South America, and especially Venezuela.
Okay.
And I say that because Trump is a nationalist. He's also a capitalist, but one of his saving grace and where he's getting a lot of support is nationalism. And his whole motto was "Make America Great," bring back manufacturing jobs to America, better the economy, help with minimum wage, cut costs, and let other countries be responsible for saving the world too. It shouldn't just all fall on America. And this is why he thinks NATO is a waste of time, and he also thinks the United Nations is too. And I cannot wait to see who's going to be the next ambassador, because frankly, Miss Bond didn't do anything except the story that her ancestors were slaves and they had a contract to build LaGuardia Airport. So I haven't seen much happen during Biden's administration as far as helping the OAS or CARICOM or helping just all of what the Monroe Doctrine is about, which Trump supports. The Monroe Doctrine says that the United States take the position that all of the countries in the Northern Hemisphere, including the Caribbean and North America, especially in the Americas, should not have intervention from Europe. And I think Trump is paying a lot of attention to trade. And our country trades with a lot of allies of the United States, but we also trade heavily with China and other countries that violate and are very, very deeply corrupt and do not stand for democracy, which is like Venezuela. And our prime minister, who was very close with Maduro, never really stood up and said the election was flawed in Venezuela. And under the Monroe Doctrine, Trump, people should read about the Monroe Doctrine, which was written in the 1800s. It still rings true today in American policy, where you see the United States still has a pivotal role in the OAS, which is the Organization of Americas. But what they fail to do is they fail to educate us and share knowledge with us. All they've done is just really encourage businesses to come in and open Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and all these franchises, but we've never really seen big stuff happening here. And it will come. It will come later on if Trump really follows through on this. But what I want to say something on a somber note, because one thing about Americans, and you have to give them credit for this, is that when it comes 4th of July, everybody puts a flag out. When it comes to USA First, everybody, yeah. But in
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry about that.
Trinidad,
Go ahead.
okay, but in Trinidad, we don't have nationalism, And I say that, and I'll give you an example. I have a little shop, and I sell a product that a lot of children like. And I actually specifically opened it to cater to young kids, because I really feel like we don't see children, coming in, and I don't get to engage myself with them.
Okay.
But a lot of kids come from middle school, high school, and today, a little boy came in. He's about maybe a young teen, and he every time he comes in, I always say, "How's school? How's things going?" And he goes to Chaguanas.
Right.
Junior secondary, or one of the secondary schools. And I said to him, how's school today?
Right.
And he was so happy. And he said, yeah, it was great. And I said, why? I said, well, what made it so great? And he said, I got all my classes today. And I said, you got all your classes today and you're happy? I said, but you should get all your classes every day. He said, well, not really. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, my teachers are always absent and I don't get all my classes. And today all my teachers showed up. And I was like, what? And he said to me, yeah, he said, every day teachers are absent. So when teachers are absent, and even if substitutes are there, the kids don't get to follow their curriculum. And I said, that's terrible. And he said, yeah, I know. My friends and I all agree that, we were missing out on a lot. And I said to him, and I said, well, you go to Saguanas, right? I said, that's a really rough school, isn't it? And he said, yeah. I said, are there bullies in your school? And you know what he said? He said, yeah, a few days ago, they robbed me. They steal my money. They beat me up. And I said, did you talk to your dad about it? And he said, my father said, just, hang in there. And I said, you know something? Your dad isn't a pacifist. He's not, passive. Your dad is giving you good advice because it's dangerous. when parents step in, and at school like that, they can, parents get involved. Well, what I'm getting at is this. You see, this kid wants to learn, and he has friends who wants to learn, and we don't have the
Monroe
teachers
Doctrine is
willing
an early
to teach.
cornerstone of U.
I say this because the sense of nationalism is not there. Teachers don't love their jobs, and it's not just the teachers, it's all of government workers. And this has been mentioned before, and I'll give you another example. The guy from NP gas station, remember, one of the CEO just resigned, and the private dealer petroleum guy president was speaking, and he said, NP doesn't care if the gas stations, if the village gas stations have gas. They don't care, because all these workers, they work for state enterprises, and they're greedy. They just want to use all the resources for self-interest, and they don't care about anybody else. And I said that's really true. It starts from teachers, the janitors, all the way to the prime minister. They get into government jobs for self-interest and not for interest of country. Now, when you look at countries like Europe, and the United States is a good example, they have real good checks and balances. They'll catch you, and they're not afraid. And of course, they do play politics sometimes, but it's a very, very strong country where there is a strong sense of nationalism, and we don't have that here. We just there's open borders. We kind of just go with the flow. And I've never heard people say, I will fight for Trinidad. I will stand up for Trinidad. They always say, Trinidad is nice. Everything goes good down here. It's nice. And I feel like with that kind of attitude, nothing is going to change. So when I talked to this little kid, you know what I told him? And he was so happy we talked. And I said, listen, buddy, I said, you know what's going to happen? All those kids that are bullying you, they're going to be in jail one day when they grow up. But you're going to soar. You're going to make it. And one day, you're going to help change this country. And we go overthrow the government. And we will do a great job making this place where everybody love it. And everybody show up for work and do their job. And, he was so happy. He was so happy. So anyway, I hear your dog barking. And I just feel like there's hope.
I want to assure you that it wasn't barking at you.
What timing, right?
Yeah.
I love you, Lennox.
Yeah, don't be scared. Don't be scared. It wasn't barking at you, so it will get to your feet or your hands, as the case may be. But go ahead.
But what I'm saying, Lennox, is this, and I had other kids come in, and I shared the little boy's experience with these other kids. And a couple of the other kids who are well off. This kid is from a working class family. Yes. But other kids who are well off, I asked them, I said, do you teachers show up every day for school? And those kids who go to the really good schools say, yeah, every day. And I'm like, well, something is wrong with our government system, our government school, in that if teachers are not showing up and there's no accountability, no wonder kids are failing. No wonder teen pregnancy is high. No wonder there's so many young girls, single, never married with children. And no wonder unemployment is high, because these jobs that we have in government jobs, they're created for families and friends and families. It's a clique, and you have to know somebody to get into a government job. And even if you're unskilled, and we know that because we've dealt with government services, most of them are unskilled when you talk to them. They don't know how to type. They don't know how to do customer service, and like they're on the job training. And there are other highly skilled people waiting for that job, and they'll never get it. And the only way they could get it is if there's transparency and there's openness. But this government, nothing has changed since colonialism, and that mentality is carried forward even to this day. And I have to tell you something. Some of your callers bully people on this line and on the chat. And cyberbullying is real big, eh?
That is illegal. That is illegal. So...
even Anna Munsami has bullied me. She has bullied me on the internet and laughed at me and denigrated me. And there's no sisterhood, eh? I'm telling you. And some people will say they just, I don't know.
Let me just remind them that cyberbullying is, of course, an offense in this
it's
country.
An offense.
Once it could be proven, and of course it's a criminal offense as well. So not just I am taking
no respect
the civil route, but you can go the criminal route as well. But go ahead. I think
I want to make the last contribution. I think the only way to get rid of PNM is to reinstate the UNC. And then the UNC needs to go through a metamorphosis change where internally now they have to weed out all the weak politicians in there who are just there as figureheads or funded by
Yes.
someone. And there needs to be transparency in campaign funding. Who's funding all these politicians that show up out of nowhere? You know, that needs to be published, and we need to see that. But that won't happen, not for a long time. So, you know, anyway, Leonard, thanks for giving me all this airtime, and I always listen to you even though I don't call sometimes. All right.
I expect
You
that,
take
and
care.
I suspect that because you clearly you are making up for lost time.
I did, didn't I? And you gave me a platform. I love you. Thank you, my friend. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
All
Yes,
right,
have a
bye.
wonderful one. Yes, indeed, of course. Well, of course, I want to commend the caller for, of course, that intervention made, because let's face it, 1 by 1, 2 by 2, we would have done the work of the Almighty. That's how I see it. I would have had, of course, the vision to form what would have been called very popular between, of course, 1984 there about and about 2000, the Mobile Laboratory Improvement Organization. It's a trade school, a vocational skills training initiative, while, of course, looking at social and psychological re-engineering for positivity. And I can tell you, our motto was, if we could save one, we would have done human service. So I want to tell you that that one person that you would have made an intervention to, of course, place on the straight and direct, you wouldn't believe how blessed you must be, or you will be. And of course, that person, of course, once they stay on that track, they will, of course, there will be the multiplier effect. But let's go to the line. We have had about 3 or 4 calls that we missed. I don't know how. But of course, a pleasant good night. Please call back. Please call back. Oh God, this is one of those nights. I pressed, of course, to disconnect rather than, of course, engage. So call back, caller. All right, good. Right, right. Yes. Pleasant good night. My apologies. I who, of course, cut you off inadvertently, of course. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Yes.
Ahora Muntamida is a cyberbully boy, what? Looking for trouble.
Well, you know.
That woman here.
Yeah.
Ahora Muntami don't feel powder, you know.
Yeah. Well, of course, she has taken a position. She's strident about her stance, and that is good. People must be able to defend, of course, a position they take, particularly if it is, of course, consistent with many others, and if it is wrong, because, of course, you can be wrong, then, of course, you suffer the consequences as well. So if a person is prepared to suffer the consequences of their stance, for example, I have been calling Dr. Rowley for the past, 9 years or more, a rapist and a pedophile, and I am prepared to stand the consequences. There are those who don't like it, the sycophants and others, who I consider to be despicable, and typical case of birds of feather flock together in that to follow Rowley, or if Rowley is their leader, and that's how the cookie crumbles. Well, go ahead, my friend. Yes.
Yes. There's this matter with this Privy Council ruling today.
Yes.
Right? There is nothing for them PNM, and not that money coming out of them pockets, you know.
Yes.
You understand? They just take the local people down here, international, whatever.
Yes.
Pay them a fee to go and fight a needless case where they can let the court adjudicate over that down here. But you see, when they see them, they want to spend their money, it's nothing for them. You think I could have gone waste my money behind something like that? So frivolous. And I hope that they have to pay the cost and all of that to the woman, because they causing the woman to go and challenge these matters up in the Privy Council. And furthermore, when the court matter being held down here, I hope to get justice there, because if it head back up in the Privy Council, I expect you to win that and all there.
Yeah.
And Imbert and this Attorney General, them should be paying for that out of their own pocket, not taxpayers funding that at all.
Yes.
And I have a problem with that, because you just see for yourself how hundreds of millions of dollars is allocated to the Attorney General office to fight legal matters, and you want to know why?
They appear to be so embarrassed with the exorbitance and the profligacy of that approach that they will not respond. Well, in this case, of course, Jack Warner had asked about what they would have expended to, of course, treat with his extradition, and they flatly refused because the numbers clearly are so embarrassing, as we have seen of those that they were prepared, of course, to share with the public. We have seen
political,
so
political
therefore,
witch hunting.
yeah. No, what I'm saying is
Political witch hunting.
that their conscience is such that they know, in other words, that the amount that they are paying is so exorbitant and would have turned out to be so unnecessary, because they would have lost the vast majority of those matters that they would have pursued, and therefore their political survivability now they automatically revert to, and how to let's say save that, they then of course say they're not of course disclosing. But go ahead, my friend.
I want to tell these PNM supporters and people in general to know that when you see they spend their money, squander the money, the taxpayer money in this country, is the goods and services taken out of your mouth when you go in the hospital and you can't get medicine or any service there.
That's
when
right.
you go in the social welfare ministry and you have nothing to get in my food card, is because of all of that.
That's
the
right.
money had to come from somewhere to pay all of these things, and that's where it's coming from. The lawyers eating at the trough and always suffer in the same way. No wonder this government could have gone whole at waste our time commissioner inquiry, pay over $15 million to these high-paying bigwig lawyers, and the people who were affected the most, the divers,
Not
they
a
get
damn
one
cent.
damn cent.
Yeah, not a
And
damn
nobody didn't care a hoot about that, you know. But I see Anand Ram Logan pick up the case with a couple of the divers,
Right,
and I
yeah.
thought all of them would have fall under his umbrella, and he should have take up all of them matter. Because I find Prakash Ramada, he'd be dragging his foot like if he disabled or something like that. And I don't understand his way of dealing with stuff. But Ram Logan, when it's want justice in this place, with inequality or these people taking advantage of you, Ram Logan is the man to see. You just see the result for yourself. When you pick up those cases, the government is breaking their boots and has had a fall by the wayside. Even Ramesh Maharaj, when he challenges government and he wins, he does make sure and get him money for his clients too. Them is two outstanding lawyers that this government very too bad. And when you see they pick up challenges against them, they have to pay. I want Ramdas to get you money, and she must gain in millions. I'm sorry to say so. It has to be at the taxpayers' expense. But this wicked, evil PNM government needs to be ousted. It needs to be trumpalized, kicked out when it's the next general election call. Out of office. Have a good night, Lennox.
I suppose, of course, your closing sentiments. I think, it is unanimous. And while unanimity means all, there may be some sprinkling of individuals who, because they may be getting, of course, some takada from the government, whether it be through your PCPEP or some board appointment, they hold on, of course, to this dribble, the elasticity of which is extremely limited, as they themselves become, of course, persons that may be on the verge of extinction. Yes, that kind of loyalty to evil must be extinguished in Trinidad and Tobago, must be annihilated in Trinidad and Tobago, must come to a screeching end. But of course, I took note of the jingoism that was, of course, preferred by Miss Madras, who talked about the nationalistic and the nationalism and the ultra nationalism of Donald Trump and his love for the United States. I want to say that Rowley and they has demonstrated the opposite to jingoism. But let's go to the line, and indeed, of course, and it is not about fearing strangers, but we will look at that afterwards. Oh boy. Sorry about that caller. I believe I am too engrossed in the discussion. All right, let me just take this call now. All right, let me take it. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Sorry about that once again. All right.
Yeah, I'll be very brief again. I forget to mention something to you just now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you aware that a Venezuelan national?
Hold on, Mr. Tagrigo. I'll take you. I'll take you.
A Venezuelan national.
Yeah.
Right, I heard it on TCT program today.
Okay.
A Venezuelan national has in his possession a Trinidad and Tobago ID card and a Venezuelan ID. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that specific case, but I am not surprised because we have seen.
So then they'll be eligible to vote.
Yes, of course, and that is something we will be tackling. In addition, you notice we are very methodical, so that we are tackling the EBC on the one hand, and then instances like these, we then have to also question indirectly, because these people, how come they have to answer the question, how come they have ID cards and they are merely registered to work and not, of course, to be citizens of this country or permanent residents?
Unless he has dual citizenship.
Well, you could only get it after a certain process, and the time let's say since the first set of migrants came in from Venezuela, that would have been when around 2020. That is not sufficient time to, of course, process all of that. So there must be some skullduggery taking place for that to happen in mass. Don't you agree?
Well, of course.
Yeah, there must
but
be a process.
I'll call you back. I'll call you back because I know you're very busy today.
Yeah, boy. And one of the qualifications to get permanent residence and therefore ultimate citizenship by registration is that you have to go back home. Persons who are here for some time, because that is how it happens. You don't come from abroad in your country and apply for residency or citizenship in Trinidad. No, you have to be here for a certain amount of time, operating, of course, without the relevant, should I say, identification documents. And then after that time, you might have gone to school here. You might have, of course, have a very good relationship. You might have married someone here. All of that, and therefore there are other verification mechanisms that is associated with that, such as people providing affidavits that they know you're here for some time, etc., etc. And all of that has to take place. But you must have a certain amount of time living in Trinidad and Tobago. You must be able to prove that. Not one Venezuelan that came here from 2020 could prove that. That's the point I'm making. But let's go to, oh boy. I have a situation. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Miss Arima, you'll have to hold on.
Boy.
Yeah, Mr. Tagriga, go ahead.
Yeah, boy. First of all, let me say long live the Privy Council.
Yes.
For that judgment today.
Yeah.
The next thing I want to say, once in a lifetime, great men that walk this earth.
Right.
Donald Trump is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we for James and Marlon Hoffman, and all them. Criticizing Donald Trump. They're not qualified to talk about Donald Trump. They're out of place. Yeah, because we're talking race here, you know.
Yeah.
No religion, not only race, jealousy, why you know. You hear me?
Yeah, hearing you loud and clear. We have a little background. If Miss Arima could conclude on her system, we'll hear a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's jealousy, not only race, you know.
Yeah.
You see with Donald Trump, because there's a lot of jealousy in this country. Right? For the jealous camera too, for the good job.
Okay.
So we must look at that. The only race is the problem, you know.
Yeah.
Jealousy too little. They must start checking all that.
Yes.
Yeah, who qualify with what you to talk about Donald Trump?
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's all I want to say for now.
Yes.
I'm going to leave it so for now if I get any problems.
All right. All right. What I would suggest, yeah. What I would suggest that you call back because I get a slight distortion. All right. All right. All right. I got a little distortion there from Mr. Tagariga. Mr. Tagariga, you can call back. Yes, Mr. Rima, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Lennox. The chat hot tonight. You must read the chat. It's real kick.
That is all right. That's all right. I really no chat. I just going ahead with my work. That's an ecology by itself, and I don't want to get there at this point in time. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, boy. It's real thing on this chat, dude. Anyhow, the caller before Mr. Tagarigua, he was telling you about them, a Venezuelan with an ID card.
Yes.
That is fraud.
Yeah.
Listen,
of course it is. That's the point I was making before.
Birthplace. People must understand how an ID card is, right?
Yes.
Birthplace, it say Venezuela. But then it's telling you that he born in Chaguanas. He born in Chaguanas. Nationality Venezuelan, and he born in Chaguanas. That is sounding like fraud?
Of course it is. I said no Venezuelan that came here from 2020 could qualify to be a citizen of this country. So let's not waste time with that. Must be here long. I know of many of the CARICOM countries, Grenada, St. Vincent, and so on. Big men, they're here 20, 30 years, and they're now, of course, looking to they married, etc. Undetected, of course, but now they're looking to regularize. But 2 years, 3 years, no. That is not.
But I believe if the person marry a Trinidadian, they could get a Trinidad and Tobago passport.
Yeah,
and
but that'll go back.
Residence.
But that'll go back. That'll go back home, and none of them could go back home. So we don't know that is total fraud. Go back home,
they can't go back,
Yeah.
I want people to know they can't go back,
That's right. That'll
it's
go
not
and come
that they
again.
don't want to go.
Yeah.
No, listen, they can't go back. He's
That's
not
right.
accepting them in the country.
That's right.
If the passport expire.
Yeah.
So if the passport expire, when they go here at the embassy, this is what one told me,
Right.
If they go to the embassy, they're not getting any help. The ambassador doesn't help them.
Right.
They just tell them it didn't have
And in the
material to
context
do the passport.
of Trinidad, it
So
has
they're
to be.
stuck here in other parts of the world. He don't want to have them come back to the country.
And in the
So
case
when
of,
they're outside,
yeah.
what
No.
you want to say?
I was saying that in the case of Trinidad, it has to be some kind of clandestine, secretive, corrupt policy that for that to happen in mass. That these people who are under normal circumstance would not be qualified because of the laws that we have here, and they produce an ID card. It is clear that that is fraud and must be totally investigated.
Yeah, but they're good. I tell you, they're real good in all kind of fraud, right, and skull. So they just make the thing.
Oh, tell me that. Well,
You understand?
Then them can't go nowhere. Then they can't vote or nothing like that.
No, he can't vote.
Yeah,
but that is
that's not the
something
purpose.
they
That's
make.
not the purpose. No, that's not the purpose. It's for them to get
Yeah.
along and to survive. I understand.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, take the call.
Yes, I will. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor. Mr. Faizabad, welcome. Yes. Go ahead.
A pleasant good day to you, Mr. Lennox, and all your listeners,
Yes.
and to share.
Yes.
Well done and very good. Cripsy, and Cripsy, well done. But I just want to remind on the Spanish ID card.
Yeah.
That was since earlier on when Stuart Young was National Security Minister. The copy of the ID card is it traces to a young female up on the Telefona of the St. Augustine side. Right? And nothing had come out, and nothing on the public domain had reached to the knowledge to say how far the investigation reached.
No, I see.
So, when I did talk about the revised list, right, and the EBC to send out the list, because after COVID, the amount of people who had died, so we wanted a list
the template what I have presently, and that I did ask the constituencies and them and to start working on that all who want to save Trinidad to be the brothers keepers and start going around and see all who died in the community and check it back on the list, right?
Yeah.
So we could know how much people died in the area and have a total.
Oh yeah, there must be this sanitizing of the electoral list, which is of course is the registration list, but for electoral purposes, election purposes, it's called an electoral list, and that has to be sanitized in the sense that how many died, and therefore should be withdrawn from that list, so to get a fair number, a fair numerical evaluation as to persons who may still qualify to vote. But go ahead.
Registered voters, right?
Yeah. When you register, once you get an ID, it means therefore you are registered to vote automatically because you cannot get it before 18 years. Yeah.
Right. No, we are talking about when you sanitize the list. Now you compare it so that they revise the list and they show the numbers and they tell you that in this election we're going into, we have 700,000 registered voters to vote, right? In Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
So they know that the numbers, so you know how much people enter in the battleground.
Right.
But the EBC is not, you don't hear anything or any work is being done. But I just want to remind, that is the point there, right?
Yes.
Now, they say as long as you have an ID card, a valid ID card, you go to the polling station, then you got a polling card, you go behind the booth, and you put your X. So, but what I want to remind, I'm juggling your memory, we will go back to just Mr. Manning time, when somewhere in Port of Spain on top of the hill by them big tank and them brothers call our village up there.
Yeah, Picton tanks. The Picton tanks.
Yeah, and they have the name of the villagers called this. What they say, Hakai Stigman. I call it on this so people can sue them, right?
Yeah.
In that time, they had discovered an ID card ring of people making false ID card and distributing it to certain people for selling purposes. So now we seen Spanish driving on the road, and they have license to drive. So I don't know if they went and bring the international license to drive it. So we are treading in terrible, terrible times. And these are things that while we're talking about everything, is the same method Trump had lost the election and get hosted at office.
Yeah.
No, you hear in our dictator Maduro, right? Saying that he leave in office, but the congratulations and Mr. Trump to say that looking forward to work in the future with him. So I don't know what I kind of confused. So we have to be very careful. And you're seeing that these people are not looking anyhow that they're willing to give up the office easily. They're looking to hold it on as tight as they could. So this is just food for thought tonight on what the bloody topic, and we change the whole diaspora. But I would like my Auditor General, not only for millions, I want you to sue in there for the Tri-City Shopping Mall and the $2.7 billion war shortfall and for lying.
Yeah, so, caller, hold on. I have another caller on the handset.
Yeah. So I have a pleasant good night. So
okay then.
I will not
Thanks, Mr. Faizabad. Bye bye.
Lennox.
Yes, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Raj here from Orlando, brother.
Yeah. How are you, man? How are you? Congratulations of a very successful campaign and, of course, electoral, let's say, process that was not mired with any controversy on this occasion. And let's hope the same will happen in Trinidad, and not that we have we don't have that kind of skepticism, but based on what the population would have done, just as how Trump advocated for a sanitized electoral process, we too have a duty so to do, those of us who are conscious, and eventually, of course, only the Republic called Trinidad and Tobago will benefit as a consequence, and therefore the citizens. So that's where we are. But make your presentation. A pleasant good night to you.
Lennox,
Yeah.
the rumors is Elon Musk steal election for Donald Trump. That's the rumor going around.
Who's
Anyhow,
that?
you can see
Which rumor? Which rumor?
that Elon Musk, you know how he's smart with internet. He stole it.
Oh, because he's a technical. Oh gosh.
Yeah, tech god. But you know what? The Democrats don't want to fight at him. We don't fight at him like Donald Trump and waste time and I want to take over the White House.
I hear you. You're gonna get these rumors.
And the next thing too, they gotta understand Donald Trump is sending back no white-skinned people to the country, you know. Donald Trump only going to send back black people to the country, Trinidadian, Black Caribbean, no white people like Venezuela have plenty white-skinned people.
Well, I think he was specific. He said that people who would have been in the prison and they therefore have such a record. I suppose those are the persons, the no goods that he has targeted. That will be no goods anyway.
He will only run some black people, Trinidadian who ball in. Oh God, they like Trump. Trinidadian black people can send back what they have no papers.
All right, well, let's see.
And remember, Venezuela have white-skinned people, you know.
Yes.
Okay, so but anyhow, Kamala, you guys had a fight to win the election, you know, because I first YC man, the ABC or what do you call it?
EBC, yes, the Election and Boundaries Commission.
Election, EBC. You guys had to fight them, you know, because
Well, that you will see more and more of that taking place. In fact, I have a letter before me now to submit to them tomorrow, among other things, because I did get my first response through the Freedom of Information Act, which I am not satisfied with. So therefore, the next stage, of course, is the Ombudsman and then judicial review if it becomes necessary, because I'm satisfied that they continue, of course, to be clandestine and very eclectic with the information that ought to be in the public space and public domain, and people like you and I must be familiar with the highest degree of sincerity from that institution. Yeah.
Got to find a way how to get.
We have to find ways and means, and I think
you got to find a way to get money to Andy to find that Mayaru seat.
We are working on that as well. That's Andy Gandhi seat.
Like I said, I'm talking to my nephew and everything, but it's so hard, man. You know, people don't want to do too much in Trinidad, man. They're worried, you know.
I understand.
Because my two big brothers are flying down there on the 29th of November. I'm worried about them because I'm not coming. I'm coming in May, but for a class reunion.
Yes. But I see a lot of people from the diaspora are planning to come for this election back home in order to vote. I suppose
when they call election date, I might just take a weekend. That's all. But
okay, great.
I mean, I campaign a lot, you know. I'm telling you, I know Kamala, I shake Kamala, and I am a friend of Kamala. I went and meet since your office. My brother-in-law is a close friend.
You're doing the right thing, conscious.
And I'm telling you, see what I told people don't understand. Lennox, I have plenty family, and my cousin, the magistrate, you know.
Yes, okay, so you have an interest here.
I have real connection in Trinidad.
Yeah, you have an interest for the right thing to be done in Trinidad. I agree.
I want the people. I mean, all this election affair is done and said and done. People call in Donald Trump is the next savior from Jesus. The man ain't know one Bible, one verse in the Bible, but he's a savior.
Well, I prefer to wait and see. I'm not going to predict or I'm not going to preempt.
Exactly.
Let's see. He says something. Let's see if he's going to deliver. At any rate, it's 4 years. So 4 years is not an eternity.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm still alive in this country in 4 years.
Yes. I hear you, my friend. Yeah, I'm not any predicting thing. Until I could see what is being unveiled. You see, many people predicted Rowley would have been a savior, and it turned out, of course, to be the devil incarnated for Trinidad and Tobago. So I'm very skeptical, very, very, very cautious and circumspect, and therefore I would wait and see rather than make a prediction.
The one more thing I will say.
Go
when
ahead.
a man is going to do something, bet your bottom dollar they're going to do it.
Yes.
Okay? So when a man telling you something they're going to do, listen carefully. And if they have a bad mind and bad temper and bad attitude, trust me, they're going to do it. Always listen to the fine line. All right, good night. Have a good night. We'll
Yes,
talk
yes.
soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Of course, I think what the lesson that comes out of that is that you don't have to take flambeau to see in the night what you're seeing in the day. That's what he is saying. You don't have to take flambeau. That is the local, of course, equivalent in terms of the analogy. You don't have to take flambeau to see in the night that which you see in the day. It's a waste of time. You know that what you don't know what is there anyway. What flambeau for, right? And of course, if there were certain signs, much of which people were not sufficiently observant to flag, and Rowley got away with it, I don't think another person would be able to get away with that in Trinidad, vying for the position of Prime Minister and or the party to, of course, manage the affairs of the country. All right? So I want to make that clear. Yes, indeed. But of course, there are a number of things. Quite a hectic period for calls and, of course, making intervention. So let me see if I can summarize before I get back to, of course, the Auditor General and the genesis of the embarrassment that is now the Rowley administration. And let's put it in perspective. That is stereotypical of Rowley and the giving us in the beginning, of course, hyperboles and body language and appearing to be authoritative. And at the end of the day, they spit in the sky and it falls in their face. In other words, it turns out to be a failure. And the recent decision of the Privy Council is another one. But as I said, there are several things that people spoke of that I want to sort of summarize before I go further or forward. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Right there, Lennox again.
Yes.
Lennox.
Hey.
It have people saying that they don't know what they could get under Trump and Trump this and Trump that, and they can't live under Trump. Why they ain't trying to live under Rowley? They should come here and try and live under Rowley. This man have he not taking responsibility for what's going on in this country. The country falling apart, right? People getting killed, murdered, all kind of thing. And he said that he business.
What I'm seeing coming out there with respect to people like that is that is human nature. You hit your wagon to a failed, let's say, system or entity or candidate in this case, and now of course you're looking for all kinds of excuses to, of course, justify why you fail, and therefore one of it is to castigate the performance, even though they didn't start yet, of the victor. So that's understood. That's a psychological thing. Eventually, they will have to, of course, settle down and understand that water finds its own level. Go ahead, my friend.
Let me get a story.
Quickly.
Last month, right? I have a relative. Young lady, a cousin of mine. She married. She had 2 young children. 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 fellas home invade by them. Rob the people, thief their car, all kind of thing. It was traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, within a space of time between then and now, them pack up their bags and go in to Texas to live from next month. You know that?
But yeah, but
that is what's going on in this place.
Yeah.
It's so traumatic that the people and them had to leave because they can't stay in the house and not feeling safe no more.
Yeah.
They rather go
we have a regular
Trump.
caller, Mr. Narain, on the ground report, who constantly says that he was subjected to a similar situation and he had to fly out many decades ago, and to Canada in order to, of course, get some sanity and continue his life. So you're quite right.
And that thing happening on a regular basis now, and I'm so sorry because my cousin, he wouldn't be able to see grandchildren again, right? because them is little
Well,
toddlers.
yeah, you
but
have to
the deterrent
sacrifice, you
ball
have to
in
give up
face.
something in order
Well,
for...
he's a sickly man and he can't travel and go nowhere. So I mean, it's really hard.
Yeah.
That is what you're doing. You're separating families when these things happen.
Yeah.
And people don't understand these things, you know. It's a traumatic thing when they get a home invasion, you know.
Yeah.
People don't understand the heat in the kitchen until they feel it.
Yeah, but
Right?
I think
Everybody can sit down and talk.
increasingly a huge number of our population is realizing how serious and how dangerous and how traumatic, to use your term, this situation is, because they are feeling it in their pockets, they are feeling it on the job, they are feeling it, and job here meaning no jobs, and if they have a job, the salary is so paltry that they are unable to make a living with it, and so of course having regard to the higher prices every day, and so many other taxes that are coming their way, so they feel it in more ways than one, even though they may not be the victim of directly of some what I consider a criminal episode.
We are all victims of this harsh PNM
all right.
governance in this
I have
country.
someone on the line, so no problem. All right, Mr. Tagariwa, go ahead.
You say they have a good vote time?
All right, go ahead. Now I hear you a little better now. Yes.
All right. I was telling you, once in a lifetime, great men just walk this world. Right?
Once in a lifetime, what? Once in a lifetime?
Great men just walk this world.
Oh, yes. Great men has walked. Right, okay. I hear you. Yes. Go ahead.
Right. And Donald Trump is one of them.
Donald Trump is one. Okay, good.
That's straightforward. Yet you have people over here, Winford James, Marlon Hopkins, and all of them, criticizing Donald Trump.
Yes.
Who is them to do that?
Yeah.
They're not qualified to criticize Donald Trump. So I'm telling you, not only a racial problem we have here, you know.
Yeah.
We have a jealousy problem.
Yeah.
The jealousy man.
Yeah.
Did you hear all that or you hear it?
No, I'm listening. I just want to make sure you get your 2 pence in. Mm.
Yeah, but you hear me, though?
I hear you loud and clear, everybody in the world.
All right. So we have a jealousy problem over here too.
Right.
And that's what happened, Kamala.
Yes.
The jealousy could what the woman do.
Yeah.
And man talking.
Yeah. Well, she's a victim of people's jealous eyes.
Yes.
Jealous eyes. Yeah.
What they can do. And she doing it. It's hurting them.
Yeah.
Is she there with you? Look at what people jealous you when you go report on this program.
Yes.
But you don't care about them.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Yeah.
Right? Now why I tell you about great men that only walk this world sometimes once in a lifetime. I'm going to the game of cricket now to show you something.
Yeah.
The world after today, England, Australia, everybody tell you. The two greatest batsmen the world ever produced was Gary Sobers and Ron Canai.
Yes.
And after that, the only man that ever come along after them is Vivian Richards.
Right.
Who was saying that the greatest batsman in the world at the time he was there.
That's right.
So it's great men that hardly come so well around.
I agree. And then there's a lull or a vacuum, and then something pops up because necessity is the mother of invention. And if a society has to invent to someone in order to save them, then so be it. Of course, in this case, it's Kamala Prasad-Bissessar at the UNC. But on the other hand, let me tell you this, that because of the incompetence and the reliance on deflection by the Rowley administration, if Kamala and the UNC was not in existence, well, I want to tell you that Rowley and they would have had to invent a Kamala Prasad-Bissessar and the UNC to deflect attention from the incompetence, impotence, and criminalistic behavior.
Well, your backside shaking now, you know, exactly that decision by the Privy Council.
Yeah, and we are seeing it happening every day. Everything is collapsed, they spit in the sky, collapse in the face, and they will see that as nothing, they will remain silent, and then they go on to the next opportunity. And if there is a modicum of favor in their favor, they will then of course get on as if all of these debacles, all of these failures never existed. You know, with that annual ritual every budget. You hear them in Parliament, just praising themselves, and in the face of all of that, the disaster and of course incompetence, impotence, and failure. I mean, it's monumental. It is inexplicable. It is ineffable too, because you can't find words to explain that, because there's no script to, of course, describe what is unfolding for government and governance by Rowley and the PNM.
And my kids say 1,000 scriptwriters they only would carry
They can't invent that. They can't invent that fantasy that is the PNM, and of course its so-called management of so-called good management of the Trinidad and Tobago's business over the last 9 years and counting.
I hope you always remember the Privy Council,
Yes, my friend. Yes, my friend.
Yeah, we have to see the Privy Council because...
we have to see the Privy Council clearly, because, I mean, we have seen it working for Trinidad, for the ordinary person who have felt that they are victims of the high-handedness of this government, the juggernaut and the sledgehammer type approach, the reckless behavior, and if we only quiver, if we only, of course, relent, they will overwhelm us. But of course, we also know that evil could never prevail.
Watch me. You're feeling what gone off now? Imagine he said that you're going to be gone. But he gone crazy, boy.
Yeah. But it's normal. The Greeks say that, of course, who the gods wish to destroy, they first set them mad. And of course, these fellas are in cognitive and intellectual and common sense decline.
I'm not to say nothing. I'm looking.
He didn't have to say nothing in the Privy Council. No, before the Privy Council. The Privy Council heard the government side and then come out and say, in the interest of speed, and we will give our written decision afterwards. But let me tell all you something. The woman has a case to take before the court in Trinidad, before another judge. So they also did that before another judge on the question of course, judicial review.
And they wanted to know why they take action like this, but...
Yeah, so she was totally protected by the law lords in the Privy Council up in England.
They must was shocked that she didn't bring that case away.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, let me go because, of course, we have some other people.
Yeah. All right, boys.
Yes. Tonight is a hectic night. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Oh, let me see.
This is Mr. San Fernando.
Yeah, pleasant good night. Sorry about that. Yes.
Yeah. I think I was listening to the program last night and I heard a fellow talk about lies. I call and talking about what if Kamala want to win the election, she have to lie just like Rowley and it.
He twists the whole thing, and of course it reminds me, I think, of Macbeth, that Shakespeare play Macbeth, where they say, of course, to false, the people take false for truth and truth for false. Something worse to that effect. So he reminded me of that play when, of course, he said that to take up that as a strategy for getting into government.
Well, that is the most stupid statement that I have ever heard. Because listen to this, you know, okay, let's just go to the election that's now going on in the States. Kamala Harris lost the election because of what? Not because she went down a road where you could actually see. It's not her road. It wasn't her road. It was Biden's road. Biden is a warmonger. Right?
Yeah.
So you must understand the issue now that he being a warmonger, the United States of America, now, if you look at even past elections, when some of these presidents fought, right? America really in trouble in terms of, I mean, what is the issue with wars? You're just fighting and spending money, right? as they spend the money in war, what is going to happen to America, the citizens of America? Their livelihoods and the daily living must go down because you're taking a lot of money and spending it on war, and you're not seeing about your people in America. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yes.
So if that has happened, I think one of my brothers was telling me that in America today, a lot of people are homeless. And it is because of the way they were spending the money.
Yeah.
So once you badly use money, right, and you're not bringing the money down to your people in America is going to feel it.
Yeah.
So that's just one issue. So Kamal, you don't have to lie to actually win an election. You have to understand the issue. She lost that election because of the issue, and Donald Trump now took advantage of the fact that, of the issues that is actually going down on the ground.
Yeah.
That is what happened there. So it's not to say that I had to lie to win an election. If let's even go here. If Kamala Prasad decides in the morning to do like Rowley and lie, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
She's going to go down.
That's right. And I got the impression from the caller that he was suggesting that Trump was lying, right? So then I had to say, well, listen, if the difficulty with that argument, the solidness or the should I say the veracity of that argument could only be sustained if Trump did not have a previous 4-year term. And by and large, he delivered what he said he would have delivered. Even though they say that, of course, he inherited an economy that was, of course, brought up to scratch from Obama. But the fact of the matter is that during that 4-year period, like Rowley in Trinidad, he said that under Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, milk and honey was flowing, and therefore accepting that his 9 years so far has been stale, pain, ache, agony, and of course, and scarcity of everything.
So Trump won the election based on the issues.
That's right.
The issues, not lying.
And he also had a track record 4 years before.
Yeah.
Kamala couldn't be that, and the people understood that.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you too, because they talk race and all of that, but I am going to play it because I think is important that Trump increased his favorability among Latinos, African Americans, and other minorities, if you want to call them that, or other segments, quite apart, of course, from the white, and including women and young people in the university or persons who have a certain level of education. So he cut across all the demographics. So why would they say that somehow? But it is an excuse, of course, to justify some amorphously the failure of the Democrats. And they should be doing some introspection and have a different approach now to electioneering and presidency as well.
Mm-hmm. So you understand what I'm saying. So that's my contribution tonight. But
thank you very much. Yes, Fernando.
I wanted to talk to you in terms of because the night when I called, I wanted to talk to you in terms of even the refinery here.
Okay.
And what has happened.
Well, we have time because I see it is rapidly heading towards 10 o'clock and I want to finish on time. And these days, of course, I'm sapped for energy and I'm in demand here, there, and everywhere. And I don't want to, as my mother would say, man does dead, but work do dead. It will always be there for somebody to take it up. Even though you might be unique, because as Mr. Tariwa rightly said, there are unique individuals that emerge for a specific period to address a specific issue that the ordinary person may not be able to, and then of course you wait another long period before, of course, and he used cricket as one of those areas where, of course, West Indian cricket and its glory days was as a consequence of these elements emerging. But today, of course, is a different story as far as that is concerned. Thank God, of course, there's more money in it now, and therefore, if you are a mediocre, you probably could get, of course, to make some money or make a career out of cricket. But in those days, you had to be the top of the line and the best to beat Australia and England and, of course, other countries that were considered to be cricketing dominant countries prior to the advent of Wesley Hall and Griffith and Kanhai and Clive Lloyd and even our own Brian Lara, etc., etc. So, but let's get back, of course, to the substantive. So I was making the point from I want to start from Miss Madras, who, of course, has said that the whole question of looking internally and looking at what you have, and then, of course, generating what is called a self-contained unit, but as a country, so that you are less dependent on others. So that is why Trump is talking about bringing back industries that would have fled from the United States, lowering taxes, and of course, clearly, why should he lower tax? He can't lower what? He can't lower income. So he would have a quagmire there because the people would have gone to China and take their businesses to Mexico, etc., because of the lower labor cost. So I suspect that he will have to drastically reduce, if he is to achieve his objective, then he has to drastically reduce taxes and then, of course, put some higher tariff on imports so that there is no competition, and then, of course, produce products that would be much cheaper for countries of the world, whether it be in Africa, whether it be in Asia, whether it be in the West Indies here, or Latin America, so that people will buy that which is American made. That to me is a challenge and a difficult proposition, having regard to the dominance of China as the world's, what is called the world's industrial country, the world's producer of things that are from that are a consequence of industry or industrialization. So we wait and see. We wait and see how successful that initiative will be as far as that is concerned. But while of course there are concerns about his immigration policy, and of course driven by the southern border and his concern for unacceptable elements entering the United States, I want to say he never came across as xenophobic. He never came across as xenophobic, meaning that you must be fearful and therefore you will take certain action against persons depending on where they come from, whether it be from Middle East or otherwise. That is the point I'm making. Not like in Germany, where of course certain people are considered to be skinheads by a xenophobic class or group in Germany. But let's go straight to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night.
Good night to you, my friend.
Good night, you, my friend. Listen.
Yes. Yay.
First of all, did you look? I'm not even engaged. Did you look at the video I sent you?
Yes, I think I did. I did.
I don't think you look at the whole video. Yeah. Get some time over the weekend. I do on Monday and over the weekend. I'll call you. Anyway.
Will do. Yes. Will do.
Anyway, let me go there.
Go ahead.
We got to talk after when he done When you look at that.
Good. I'll confirm that I don't
Okay,
look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lengthy, but you'll get some good information.
Okay.
Anyway, Lennox, I'm going to ask you a question. You're an educated man.
Go ahead.
You was a teacher before. You know what the tariff?
Tariff?
You know what that means? If they raise the tariff on China or everybody else?
You levy a charge on things that are you importing here. Go ahead.
Okay, let me tell you something, And you can take it, or you don't take it, or you don't believe me, that's fine. When you raise tariff on all these people, you know who have to pay for that? Do you know who have to pay for that?
Who have to pay for it?
Yeah, you know how you have to pay for that?
Not certainly the country that is levying the tariff. Unless the goods
I'm
is sold.
asking you, if the raise tariff on China are bringing in goods to the United States or wherever, do you know who have to pay for that?
Well, who have to pay for what? The tariff or the goods?
Yes, the tariff.
The tariff. The tariff is you levy on the goods, and therefore the money that you will get from it is for the people. I ain't see who must pay for it. Coming there.
Lennox.
Go ahead.
Lennox.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you something, You don't have to pay for that. We have to pay for that.
No, you don't.
Yes, we do.
No,
Check
you
it out.
don't. You don't. Let me tell you why.
Yes, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, sir.
Every time you raise tariff, if they're not going to pay for that, we have to pay for that. Taxpayers have to pay for that, Lennox.
Yes, so. Let's get it clear.
Get it clear.
Let's get clear. Just so. Let's
get it clear.
All right. From what I understand.
And when that happens, you have to pay for that. Trinidad and Tobago and any other country have to pay for that.
No, if it is that you.
All right.
If it is the tariff is to keep a good out of the country, then it means therefore it is not.
That Lennox. Yes, you won't get the goods, but watch me. The consumer, who have to pay for that? The consumer have to pay for that. The taxpayers have to pay for that.
Show me.
It's not gonna go to that. It's not gonna go to anybody.
Okay,
if you raise tariff, the taxpayers pay for that.
No. The only how the consumer
look it up. All
right. The only how the consumer could pay for it, would be able to pay for it, is if they buy it. If they're not buying it, how they pay?
Oh, okay. Why you said they raise tax on therefore raises the tariff? Tariff means that we, the country, have to pay for that. The consumer like me, the taxpayers pay for that.
When you finish, I will give my understanding of it, and then of course we will argue afterwards. I don't want to talk over you, and I will.
No. You go ahead. But I make my point. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. You're staying on, or you're finished?
No. I'm saying I just stop. I just take fuel.
All right.
So make coal.
Okay.
Yeah, just take fuel.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the function of a tariff is to prevent a particular product fundamentally from coming into your country. So that if you have a tariff on a particular product that you don't want in your country, and the person still purchases it in spite of the tariff, meaning that the additional cost that the good will be to the ordinary person who wants to buy it, then they do that at their own risk. But if it is that it is a good that is needed, then of course your argument is valid, meaning that the people will now have to pay a higher price for that particular product, and therefore it is not good for the country that that necessarily needs that particular product. I would therefore. But let's go straight to what Trump is talking about. Trump is talking about motorcars, for example. He is saying that he's going to double the tax on motorcars, and of course cause manufacturers of cars to come back to America, then reduce, of course, taxes on for these companies to produce cars in America, and so begin the process of course, keeping out foreign cars by increasing the tariff. And people will now want to buy local cars. That is the concept, that's the idea. And I understand that. Whether or not it's practical is a different story, because you're not going to these companies move to China and of course Mexico and so on, largely because of the labor cost. But you cannot reduce. Nobody in America will want a reduction in their wage or labor. So here is where he has a quagmire. That's the point I am making. But go ahead, my friend.
All right. Let me tell you. Okay. All right. You said that certain things.
Yes.
Most of the things that they import, and you know that, and I know that, is from China.
Right.
And from India.
Yeah.
A lot of these.
Yeah,
if you go in stores like Walmart,
I want because that's what you say. Right, okay.
Right, but it's on stores. So will you tell me a few things? Man, listen, it's 100 of stuff. It's 100 of stuff. Got anything
when the consumer
from China.
It will be more costly to the consumer, the average person in America, for these products. Yes.
China will not pay for that. It will turn it over to the consumer, and the consumer and the taxpayers like me have to pay for that. Next thing again, Elon Musk. We're not going to have GM. We're going to have GM or whatever we have over there, the truck, the car industry will deteriorate very slowly. They would not have a car industry again. I'll tell you what, Elon Musk would what do you think they're doing? Introducing electric cars all over to report his business and the robots and everything. No, I say nothing. I'm going to sit down and enjoy the show. I'm not saying nothing anymore.
All right,
because I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
Elon Musk is making robots. A man, I'm looking up in you. If you think I'm lying,
I'm aware.
look it up in the internet.
I'm aware.
He making a man. You making a woman.
Correct. You are correct.
You're making a woman.
You can't tell the difference.
That robot you could have sex with.
Yeah. You can't tell the difference.
A woman robot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's he's making.
Yeah.
And then other stuff that take over.
Yeah.
Take over all them shopping and restaurant thing. Robots will be taking over that. So that is why. I don't know, anybody could bash me, I don't care. This is what's going to happen. He's going to make these robots and everybody. I'll sit and enjoy the show and I'll be laughing. Because you know why? It ain't going to affect me. Because my job, I'm in Ohio right now. I'm in Idaho.
Okay.
I pick up a lot of potatoes. I'm going to Kansas.
Good.
Right? Let me tell you something. My job not going to affect. I transporting food.
Yeah.
People
You are the
must eat
transportation
food.
business. Yeah, people must eat food, and if the cost of production increases, then of course you have nothing to do with that. Your transportation.
I have nothing to do with that.
Yeah. But of course,
I will sit down
increase,
and I will enjoy the show.
Yeah.
They love Donald Trump. Take what you get. And Elon Musk is a billionaire.
Right.
All right, and what he's doing. And you've seen it already. Christian people talking about, abortion thing. He is making this woman robot, to incubate babies. So the woman don't have to carry it.
I hear you.
You know about it?
I hear you. I want to go that far, but I know about these surrogate.
Like I said. All these people who talking, I listen to them well, and I say nothing. No, my wife say don't say nothing.
All right.
Don't, because just sit down and enjoy the show. And guess what? My job and my income will not affect anybody else.
Yes, but I want to also tell you that do not sound as though that is what I consider to be inevitable or a permanent state of affairs. It's only 4 years. Don't forget. All right?
No.
Right, okay, good.
I don't know if we can make the 4 years. Next year again, I forget to tell you. Do you know? And this is not a body. You can look it up. Whatever I'm telling you, what I know. What I know is saying you don't see already that you're gonna raise our social security age and cut our social security. We cut our money. You don't see that already. All right, so I'm just saying, I'm just saying, like I said to you, I gave you a little hint there. I just sit down, I enjoy the show.
All right then, all right, my friend, all right.
And you know, it's more to come, you know. So January, you don't see Wayne.
Well, I'm sure we're gonna have
you'll see something, you see action.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot more time, but
I will. All these people who talking, the mouth will go in the rear this time.
I hear you. I hear you. All right, my friend. Thanks very much for that.
I just give you. I just giving you. Information.
Tip of the iceberg. But
tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, you normally do. So thank you very much for that.
And what the video? Don't forget. Over the weekend when you have some time.
I'm gonna do that.
Go to the video.
I'm gonna do that.
And we're gonna engage.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you will say, well, is this? All right. May I go tell you what? You go ahead. You look.
All right. Okay then, my friend. Okay, my friend. Yes, people. So we have a very what I consider to be dynamic and interactive, of course, conversation on the situation in the United States. Clearly, this is a skeptic of, for whatever better term, a skeptic of Donald Trump. He don't believe that he can achieve what he would have stated. I had to, of course, bring him down to reality that it's only 4 years. So don't be too what I consider to be deterministic. That is not something that is cast in stone or concrete or even steel. Right? If it fails, the American people will, of course, do what is required. Just as how we in Trinidad, because Rowley and the PNM have failed, we have decided, of course, to jettison them, and they can't go more sooner than we would like. And I should tell you, they should have gone since yesterday, in other words, or before the 2020 general elections, having regard to what we know now. But time will tell. And in the case of the United States, 4 years. Yes, as I said, that increase in tariff, well, what will happen is that it will put pressure on China. Less goods will be, of course, produced for the American market. They will have to find other markets, but of course, if it is that the Americans are putting tariff on selected competitive items, let me put it that way, that they too produce. Then you have, of course, this war, this tariff war, and the best man win. That's what I can say. But of course, Trump's statement is that he's looking for full employment for Americans in particular, and of course one way of doing that is by putting tariff on items that they could produce in the United States, hopefully at competitive prices, but at the same time making certain that imports from other countries such as China doesn't reach the American market. That's the position. Yes, tariff will always cause prices to go up, and the consumer will have to pay the higher price because of the tariff if they want the good. That's how it is. Right? So that's a good lesson in what I consider to be supply and demand economics. But of course, we started, of course, with, I have to go straight there now because I wanted to talk about some other items that were raised from people like Miss Arima and so on, but I cannot do it. The Maduro matter, the Miss Madras, and of course the jingoism or the ultra-nationalistic nature of the new administration as espoused on the campaign trail by the man himself, Trump, And then, of course, we have the situation of xenophobia. I want to make it clear that no question of xenophobia came up in the Trump administration, even though the effects of it in implementation may well suggest some kind of xenophobic tendency, because people may want to hate persons simply because they are Arabs, or simply because they are Africans, and we can go on and on. But that has not been part of the narrative of the Trump administration. So let's wait and see what will transpire there. In terms of the Venezuelan situation, I expect that more of the same in terms of the current policy against Venezuela, but I see a deepening of it in terms of tariff and the punishing of those countries such as Trinidad and Tobago for, of course, aligning itself, or put another way, not, of course, when it was required for us here in Trinidad, the government had remained silent, or they have not condemned the Maduro regime, either because of the elections fraud that clearly had manifested in the last elections, the question of the Essequibo and the relationship with Guyana. All of those will be matters. And notice that Guyana is not voting like Trinidad. Notice that. And you could have a division or some kind of divisiveness among CARICOM when, of course, Trinidad would act in a particular way, or Venezuela or Jamaica act in a particular way, St. Vincent act in a particular way, because of some historic or nostalgic relationship that once was, such as the Petro Quibe, or the initiative that was, of course, introduced by Chavez, Maduro's predecessor, and all of that. But we will look at all of those things on the next occasion. And don't forget, of course, tonight is the penultimate night. I will not be around tomorrow night, but certainly on Saturday night. That being as it may, let's get down, of course, to what I started, the crux of tonight's program, and that is the whole question of the Auditor General and the decision by the Privy Council to, of course, ignore Imsbert and his appeal and grant the Auditor General leave to do what? To, of course, bring judicial review against the government for implementing, through the Minister of Finance, putting a committee together in order to look at how come $3 or $2 billion escaped documentation. That is what that is all about. Escape documentation. There's no documentation for it, but it has been seen or was put on the income side of the balance sheet. And of course, the other aspect of it is that $1 billion in expenditure, again, no support documentation to justify that or to certify that expenditure. But let's go straight, of course, to from the beginning. And let's start with, of course, this particular piece, and then we will continue.
The government will immediately apply for leave to appeal the Court of Appeal's decision after Auditor General Jayawanti Ramdas was granted permission to file a claim for judicial review in her matter against the Finance Minister and the Cabinet. Minister of Finance Colm Imber has instructed the government's lawyers to appeal to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council as an urgent matter. On Friday, the Court of Appeal heard the matter of the Auditor General versus the Minister of Finance and the Cabinet of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago regarding an investigation into the issues associated with the report of the Auditor General on the public accounts for the financial year 2023. The Court of Appeal allowed the Auditor General's appeal of the decision in the related High Court matter, thereby overturning the trial judge's decision. Minister Imbert says, having read the decision of the Court of Appeal and having sought advice from senior counsel, he is of the firm view that the issues and points of law in this matter are of sufficient public interest and importance that an application should be made for this matter to be taken to the Privy Council for final determination without delay. Earlier this month, the High Court judge had refused to grant leave to the Auditor General to apply for judicial review of the Cabinet's decision to investigate a number of issues related to the public accounts for the financial year 2023.
Yes, so essentially, people, what that is saying is that the Auditor General, having been, of course, aware of the intention of the government through the Minister of Finance to form this committee to investigate something like what Rowley did, and the courts, of course, said no. The court said no to Rowley when he formed a committee of retired police officers to investigate the firearms users license system in the police service, and clearly was targeting, of course, and claiming at the same time that Gary Griffith set up a well-oiled industry, criminal enterprise, surrounding, of course, the issuance of firearm users license. And when Gary Griffith took the matter to court, the court said to Rowley that reported that you got from the people that you set up, you paid, is bogus and lacks, of course, credibility, transparency, and objectivity. And so they ban him from even presenting it in the parliament. You can't talk about it in the parliament, you can't talk about it outside. A similar, I would say strategy, but a similar attempt by Imsbert to try to embarrass the Auditor General for taking the stance that she demands accountability and support the documents with respect to the missing $2 billion and that of the billion for expenditure. $2 billion as far as income is concerned of the 2023, of course, financial year. That's what it's about. And she went to court, the Auditor General went to court and said, listen, I want to examine the basis on which this man, Imbert, could have some strangers come and check my processes and to pronounce on what I did. I being an independent institution under the Constitution to report to no one but the Parliament of the country on my findings as far as auditing the national expenditure and, or should I say, the national fiscal processes are concerned, whether it be on the expenditure side or the income side. That's what it's all about. But the first court of instance said, well, no, she has no ground. So she appealed the matter to the, of course, the appeal court. And the appeal court agreed that she has the right to of course, pursue judicial review to say, so that Imbert must say how he arrived at that, and how that is not bias, and how that is not abuse of office, and how that is not trying to obfuscate or to or to cover up your own incompetence and maybe incompetence within the Ministry of Finance. And he and Bert in turn say, listen, I am not satisfied, so let's go to the Privy Council because I'm not satisfied that I am wrong to set up this committee or to be investigated about setting up this committee because I am boss. I have the mandate coming out of the election that I is the minister, etc. Well, it went to the Privy Council, and as you would learn later down the road, in this particular clip, the Privy Council agreed with the appeal court in Trinidad that the Auditor General must now take the matter to what? For judicial review, examination, but by a different judge from the judge that originally said that he cannot see her succeeding with this judicial review request that she would have made, for which she had a right to so to do. So when we come back, we'll go straight into the video, and then we'll close off the program. Pleasant good night, welcome.
Hey,
yeah.
Lennox, I'm sorry for calling, but take me that less than a minute.
Go ahead.
Listen, a guy in the chat named Nicholas say I'm a liar. I did not say Donald Trump about any taxes. He will cut any taxes. I talk about cutting Social Security.
All right.
CUT, not taxes. I never said that.
Okay.
Right? He said that. Plus, he wanted to do away with Obamacare. And the people who have medical, who have a pre-existing problem would not be able to continue with that. And that's all I have to say.
All right, okay. Well, I want to admit that I cannot pronounce on that because I am not familiar with the Obama care initiative, or even though I heard what Trump would have said in terms of that, I will have to do my own investigation to, of course, make a pronouncement. But thanks very much for that correction, and I trust that the person who is misrepresenting, for want of a better term, will of course adjust their position in order to reflect your true position on that matter. But let's go to the line. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Going once, going twice. We are about to close. Pleasant good night. Hello? Hello? Pleasant good night. Welcome. All right, we have lost that one. So let's go straight, of course, to that video so we can see what the Privy Council said about, of course, the judicial review that initially started in the High Court, and then the agreement with the Auditor General by the Appeal Court, and now the Privy Council agree with the Appeal Court that she should have a day in court examining, of course, the reason why Inbert ended up with this committee. Pleasant good night, welcome.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Yes, Trump shook the whole world. When Trump in the election, it was more an earthquake. People got frightened. That's a good man. America will be America again. Look at how this woman, Kamala Harris, she might win. But look at she campaign. Look the kind of people she had campaigning for her. Barack Obama and his wife was a campaign for she. This is a swimming pool that people of character.
High-powered, highfalutin, elitist group in America.
Then this is a swimming pool. He know about taking wife from her. And then you have Oprah. Oprah makes so much confusion with the Queen, Grand General, and Baccarat. And other people business she might success. If she had good people campaigning with she might have taken election. But I'm glad Trump win. Granny glad.
All right. Hi, Granny. Hi, Granny. I see you here today.
Granny told us all the election, man. I did it on the one day.
Yes.
Granny glad Trump win, and we have to win too.
That's right. Kamala must win. Kamala must win.
Yes, we have to win, man. Granny and she dead when she won.
Good.
I gotta keep winning.
Yes. Yes, well, coming from you, you're sounding powerful. You're sounding with all the vigor and all the, I wouldn't say, no, I don't want to use that too, but all the enthusiasm in the world, knowing full well that right is right and wrong is wrong, and that we must do better, we can do better, and we have to, of course, eliminate the PLM from Trinidad and Tobago in order for us to do better, because they are simply toxic and they're therefore inadequate for what is required of Trinidad and Tobago today. But let's go straight, of course, to that video, and we will close here. It's not long, so you'll be able to get a fair idea what the Privy Council said now.
Another loss for PM Rowley. Finance Minister Colm Imbert suffered defeat at the Privy Council on Thursday morning in an appeal he brought related to an understatement of between $2.6 billion and $3.379 billion in the Auditor General's report on the country's 2023 public financial records. A panel of 5 law lords dismissed Imbert's appeal, in which he was seeking to prevent Auditor General Jaiwani Ramdas from filing a claim for judicial review against his decision to set up an investigative team to probe the understatement. The panel, comprising Lords Hodge, Sales, Stevens, Lady Rose, and Lady Simler, did not even ask to hear submissions from Ramdas's lead attorney Anand Ramlogan, SC, before making their decision. Following submissions from senior counsel Douglas Mendez, SC, on behalf of the minister, the law lords briefly stood down the hearing. When they returned a few minutes later, Lord Hodge announced the board's decision. He stated that in the board's view, the local appeal court was correct in granting leave to Ramdas to file her claim. Given the importance of the matter in this country, Lord Hodge said the board felt it necessary to deliver its ruling immediately and would provide written reasons at a later date. Given the ruling, there is nothing standing in the way of Ramdas filing her claim. The investigative team that is headed by retired High Court Justice David Harris was appointed by the cabinet based on Imbert's advice. Imbert and the cabinet were seeking to have the British law lords declare that the Court of Appeal had gotten it wrong when Justices Mark Mohammed, Peter Rajkumar, and James Abood granted leave to Ramdas in June to file her judicial review claim. On that same day of the appeal court's ruling, Imbert announced that he had instructed attorneys for the state led by Mendez to further appeal the matter at the Privy Council. The local judges had ruled that High Court Justice Westman James had erred in law when he refused to grant Ramdas permission to file the claim. The court had also ordered that the matter be remitted for hearing before another judge at the High Court. Ramdas, through her team, argued that Imbert's recommendation to cabinet to initiate the probe, select the investigation team, set its terms of reference, and have it report directly to him, was biased. She also complained that the Harris team was mandated to make findings on her conduct, and that Imbert was responsible for their remuneration. Appearing alongside Ramlogan for Ramdas were attorneys Ganesh Sarup, Kent Samlal, Natasha Bisram, and Asha Ramlal, while Douglas Mendez, SC, Simon DeLaw Bastide, SC, Joan Julian, and Sonal David Long appeared for Imbert and the cabinet.
Yes, indeed, yes, indeed, yes, indeed. So that is the reality. And of course, very significant. They said that another judge must hear it, obviously, because you want to maintain the objectivity and you want to have a different judge to, of course, look at the evidence and adjudicate accordingly. So that is clear and very significantly as well, that they didn't want to hear Anand Ramlogan, because once the minister lawyer addressed the Privy Council, they stepped down the thing, they stood it down for a little while, come back and say, listen, we deciding now that the woman has a case, go back to Trinidad and give her the right to, of course, pursue judicial review. Yes. And of course, we will give a written judgment subsequently. That is what transpired there. But of course, it is consistent with the failure and the losing of this and the wasting of the treasury and the raiding of the treasury and putting it in the pockets of these so-called friends of the PNM that are supposed to be legal luminaries. We just had a situation where $90-something million, or $80-something, whether it's $80 or $90, doesn't matter, $1 million supposed, of course, to be given to the Junior Sammy. Because the law lords agree that EMBD didn't have a case. And the process by which the EMBD evaluated the work that was done by Junior Sammy is of their doing. They're in control of it. How you could say that you will only pay 7 of the 14 claims that Junior Sammy provided, submitted. You will only pay 7. You paid 7 and leave back, of course, 7. Well, the Privy Council say pay all. Pay all. And they may know yet, they may understand yet that the case against Muniral and the 5 contractors that they say was a cartel, they can't see that if that is the process, and EMBD is totally in charge of the process. Are you saying that those who were supposed to evaluate somehow colluded with, of course, the contractors to either finish or not finish jobs or works, and therefore people are illegally wanting to enrich themselves? And what about the minister himself? What role will he play in that process? Why it is that you have targeted him? Very interesting people, very interesting times. But I want to tell you, the toxicity of the Rowley administration over the last 9 years is unfathomable. If it was a rubber band or a string, that the toxicity, it would have had enough, the elasticity of it would have had enough to go around the world about several times and still have room. That is the level of dotishness and the level of inaneous and the level of waste and the level of victimization and the level of vindictiveness and the level of barbarian conduct and the high-handedness in high office that these people have, of course, exhibited over the last 9 years. And of course, it started by hoodwinking the people from the beginning. Of course, the what? The what notwithstanding? Yes, the emails notwithstanding, the storm in the teacup, Rishmi notwithstanding, and we can go. In other words, they have vindicated over the last 9 years the Kamala Prasad predecessor administration, and more significantly, they have, of course, arrogated or attracted to themselves or boomerang onto themselves or it has ricocheted that they are the ones that are blasted, wicked, evil, corrupt, and that their quest for power and sustaining power unmeritoriously is unprecedented in Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to say it must be a case study for the entire Commonwealth that a small group of people can destroy a country. You've got $10 billion in reserves. You got 5 in the Heritage and Civilization Fund. You got, of course, for excess liquidity and therefore availability for entrepreneurs, $5 billion, and you cannot produce an iota of augmentation or at least produce something that is productive, so to add value, so that the consequence is reduced employment, higher prices, crime out of control, and social and personal or family economic decadence. Decadence, people. This is a shambolic situation. There can be no perfect of an economic, social, and political storm than what Rowley and they have created. And it could only mean that Trinidad and Tobago is sinking. People who have come to the end of tonight's program, I trust that you had a wonderful one in terms of edification and or information. Don't forget tomorrow morning, of course, on the ground report, Andy, Mikey, and myself, as we continue these and other matters. Let me say to you, especially the young people, the country you say will be your own. Let me say to you that the economic maelstrom that the PNM has plunged Trinidad and Tobago it will be a difficult task to emerge from. But rest assured, you have competent people associated with or within the UNC, and a leader of exceptional quality has been there before, and with the ideas and creativity and the re-engineering that is required socio-economically as well as psycho-culturally in order to bring Trinidad and Tobago back to even keel. So without further ado, I think I want to end tonight not with a Christmas tune, but I think it will be most appropriate when we, of course, play that gypsy, iconic, but nestled in political reality, Captain, the ship is sinking. That I think we must end with, because it is only fair, it is only right, it is only, of course, someone that is totally out of their mind would not want to do or will not recognize that Trinidad and Tobago is on the brink of total destruction if these people remain in office in the form that it is. Yes, indeed.
Venezuela, SOS, SOS, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. The Trinidad, a luxury liner, sailing the Caribbean Sea with an old captain. Oh yes, it's smooth and free. But sadly, Eric William passed away. The ship hit rough water that day. Someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. Me blood crawl, things start to fall. Hold me head when I sail a fall. Captain, this ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes. We gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa. From the Trinidad, location 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela. SOS, SOS, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. all things start to fall. Hold me head when I sail a fall. Captain, this ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know. We don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa.
Another loss for PM Rowley. Finance Minister Colm Imbert suffered defeat at the Privy Council on Thursday morning in an appeal he brought related to an understatement of between $2.6 billion and $3.379 billion in the Auditor General's report on the country's 2023 public financial records. A panel of 5 law lords dismissed Imbert's appeal, in which he was seeking to prevent Auditor General Jaiwani Ramdas from filing a claim for judicial review against his decision to set up an investigative team to probe the understatement. The panel, comprising Lords Hodge, Sales, Stevens, Lady Rose, and Lady Simler, did not even ask to hear submissions from Ramdas's lead attorney Anand Ramlogan, SC, before making their decision. Following submissions from senior counsel Douglas Mendez, SC, on behalf of the minister, the law lords briefly stood down the hearing. When they returned a few minutes later, Lord Hodge announced the board's decision. He stated that in the board's view, the local appeal court was correct in granting leave to Ramdas to file her claim. Given the importance of the matter in this country, Lord Hodge said the board felt it necessary to deliver its ruling immediately and would provide written reasons at a later date. Given the ruling, there is nothing standing in the way of Ramdas filing her claim. The investigative team that is headed by retired High Court Justice David Harris was appointed by the Cabinet based on Imbert's advice. Imbert and the Cabinet were seeking to have the British law lords declare that the Court of Appeal had gotten it wrong when Justices Mark Mohammed, Peter Rajkumar, and James Abood granted leave to Ramdas in June to file her judicial review claim. On that same day of the appeal court's ruling, Imbert announced that he had instructed attorneys for the state led by Mendez to further appeal the matter at the Privy Council. The local judges had ruled that High Court Justice Westman James had erred in law when he refused to grant Ramdas permission to file the claim. The court had also ordered that the matter be remitted for hearing before another judge at the High Court. Ramdas, through her team, argued that Imbert's recommendation to Cabinet to initiate the probe, select the investigation team, set its terms of reference, and have it report directly to him, was biased. She also complained that the Harris team was mandated to make findings on her conduct and that Imbert was responsible for their remuneration. Appearing alongside Ramlogan for Ramdas were attorneys Ganesh Sarup, Kent Samlal, Natasha Bisram, and Asha Ramlal, while Douglas Mendez, SC, Simon de la Bastide, SC, Joan Julian, and Sonal David Long appeared for Imbert and the Cabinet. Another loss for PM Rowley. Finance Minister Colm Imbert suffered defeat at the Privy Council on Thursday morning in an appeal he brought related to an understatement of between $2.6